All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a slightly random, special pre-New Year's edition of the Fandom Effect podcast. This will be live, and as it says in the description, if you do tune in, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, and you do have any questions, you can ask them at any time. But if it's a specific question that would require an answer from if it's a comment about what we're talking about, I'll bring it up. If it's a specific question, I'm going to save it to the last 5 minutes. So that way we can focus on getting through a couple main topics, and I'll save your specific questions until the last couple minutes, but please tune in comments and stuff, and we'll continuously shout out stuff like that. As you can plainly see, I'm not alone. I'm joined by a recurring guest in J Fix cosplay, Jackie over in the bottom there. And then we are joined by Mitch from Carpool Shenanigans, or Justin's better half, as I like to refer to him as. And I'll give Mitch a chance at the end here. Or actually, maybe we'll do at the beginning to quickly talk about what Carpool Shenanigans is. But if you're listening to this live, this episode is being recorded on New Year's on December 31st. It will be our episode live for tomorrow. So go ahead, and if you ask your questions, obviously there's a very high chance that your questions will be made live in the podcast that will go live on Apple, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts tomorrow morning. Devin could not be here today. He's got some other stuff taken care of. Yeah, I know. It will be a slightly shorter episode. We're keeping it, it's New Year's. I don't know about you, Jackie, but Mitch is going to go have some alone time with Justin. I don't know.
Ain't that adorable?
I don't know what you're doing today.
I'm actually in a different location. I'm not in Michigan.
You're not?
I'm not. I'm in South Carolina visiting some friends.
Oh, okay. So it'll be some fun if being in South Carolina. But everyone says, the description says, Influence This Live, what we wanted to do for a little bit of a New Year's kind of, I guess, pre-New Year's thing is talk about some of the different fandoms that we've gotten into over the course of this year, whether that be different comics or anime or TV shows or a certain movie or something that you really liked or something like that. And then just talk about different things that are going to lead into 2021 that maybe we're waiting to check out, or some stuff that we've heard about, or things that we're looking to, dive more into a little bit better or something like that. Before we get into any of that, Mitch, you want to give people a quick little shout out about what Carpool Shenanigans is?
Well, Carpool Shenanigans is something that we kind of decided to do out of a car. Justin and I carpooled every day to work, and I got really into podcasting, just listening to podcasts. And so then I got him into it, and he was like, I really want to start a podcast. And at first I was kind of like, come on, man, come on. But he says, let's do it. So we ended up doing it first time just on a regular phone, just in the parking lot after work. We would sit there and we'd just do a whole episode to ourselves. So really it's just a kind of a history-based comedy podcast. We bring up stories from history or current events, and we kind of make a joke out of it a little bit. So, but yeah, everything. I'm not in my car right now, of course. I'm in a closet.
A little different.
Which is slightly more depressing than the car. So
it's true. The car can go places.
Exactly. But other than that, I mean, that's kind of what it was all about. We don't really do it much out of the car since the whole COVID and different works now. So I still record out of my car. Justin records, inside the house, but.
So Justin quit.
Yeah, well, yeah, he has 2 kids, which I understand. So
it's fine. He copped out. I have a kid. I'm allowed to call him out. I have a kid. I'm allowed to call him out. He copped out. It's fine.
He copped out. I like it.
But I think a good way to start, like I kind of said, it's been obviously a crappy year for a lot of people, and a crappy year for me in particular. Was definitely the worst year of my life by none, and without going into obviously details or being really a depressing episode, 2021 is not going to be any better for me, unfortunately. Just with my situation, it's just not. It's just going to be one of those another years, unfortunately for me. So hopefully it gets better for other people. But in terms of fandoms, I've had quite an interesting year, but we'll save me for last because, everyone always hears me talk the most anyway. Jackie, we'll start with you. So just like I said, in general, what are kind of some of the different things you've gotten into in the last year?
Well, mainly just because of quarantine, I decided to hop into playing Animal Crossing. I wasn't really on board of it until recently. And I was like, I'm bored. I want to try something new. So I've been playing that a lot. That's mainly it. Just playing a lot of Switch games. Trying to get into also, why am I blanking on this stupid game? It just got into Switch. Rocket League. There we go. Because I hated playing Rocket League on the Xbox. So, and Darnell wants me to play it. I was like, I'll play it on the Switch and we can play together that way because you can cross play on it. So, just trying different stuff. Just mainly different games.
It's been a while since I played it, but I was pretty addicted to it for a long time.
I know.
It's a fun game.
I can say I've never even heard of that.
It's like
it's soccer
with cars. It's like
with RC cars.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. I have heard of that actually. Yeah, because I downloaded that on my phone actually one time.
Mm-hmm.
It was like one of those games, kind of like Among Us or Fall Guys, where it started and they just figured it'll be like a game that a couple people play. It has like a little bit of a following where they can justify keeping the game up. They didn't expect that it would. They never, because they've said it in interviews, they never expected it to blow up to the extent of like now there's Rocket League like esport championships that are on the level of like League of Legends or Counter-Strike or Dota or other stuff. So it's blown up to like rival these games, and it's because there is a huge learning curve to Rocket League. Like I played for probably like close to like 200 hours or so, and I still can't aerial worth a damn. Like I can't.
I don't know how people do that. I just like running into people and then
it's crazy the way that people.
And then I get messages.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy the way people learn how to use boost to like fly across the map and stuff. So it's definitely one of those games that has a huge learning curve. So I know that pain. All right. So any new animes that you've been watching?
New animes. I guess I got into the Rent a Girlfriend series. It's creepy, but it's pretty cute. It's pretty cute. It's about a guy who gets dumped and then he rents out girls. It's an app that he finds, and then he finds out that like his grandparents are in the same hospital and they bonded through that. It's really cute.
Isn't that what Justin does? Mitch?
That's exactly what he does.
I know he did. I know he changed jobs, so I figured I thought it was that.
Well, that's exactly what he does. It wasn't repairing stoves anymore. It was
being a rent-a-girlfriend.
Rent-a-girlfriend.
Okay, that's what I figured.
It's actually Rent-a-Mitch.
Rent-a-Mitch. Okay,
yeah. Rent-a-Mitch.
Yeah, but I remember seeing that show and I like watched a couple panels on Crunchyroll's thing that they did. And like I remember like they showed a bunch of video previews for stuff. And I remember seeing that one on there. It seemed like it was at least an interesting and a different concept. I mean,
it is. It's definitely for the older crowd, to say the least. Like our age.
Right,
yeah. Like it's or like college students because it's based off of a college life.
Yeah. So
not for little ones.
Yeah, definitely something that are not. I guess I'll pose this question before we go into like what you would kind of want to get into in the new year. So obviously it's been a weird year for fandoms because cons are pretty much going to be done until, I mean, even with vaccines in the middle of the year, cons are still going to have to figure out.
One of the major cons that I'm supposed to be going to this summer, they already canceled, saying that we're not doing it until 2022. I'm like,
it's
fun. At least I still got my room.
It's going to be the juggling act of, when there's vaccines where a lot of people are having them, some people are going to refuse to get them. So then cons have to decide, do we make it to where you have to like show some sort of indication you've gotten the vaccine before you can come to the con, or at the very least a negative test that's taken place like within the last week before you're allowed to come to the convention. And then, so again, because again, if you allow everyone to come in and somebody gets other people sick, now you're liable. Like, even if everyone signs waivers where maybe you're not liable, it destroys your reputation. And with a con, if people decide that they don't feel like going to your con anymore, like they just won't. Like, it's
already a hot mess too. Like, depending on which con you go to, like, and how like the CEOs or the people that manage it, like, majority of the cons are shit shows. Like, a lot of different stuff happened in the past year. Like, oh, we are not supporting these cons anymore because their CEO is a shithead.
Yeah. So So you talk about from a fandom standpoint, cons are effectively going to be gone for at least another year. If not a year and a half, until they figure out how they want things to do. I'm sure some smaller ones might open, but again, who's going to risk going to them initially? Not me. Even if a small con opened up nearby, I wouldn't risk going to it right away until.
I know, same. Very much so the same. It's going to be sadly the younger crowd probably that will risk.
Will go, yeah, and
of course.
And then if there's other things that happen from that, then cons could get shut down even longer. As major cons decide it's too big of a risk. So who knows? Because it's not just the cons; it's people go to the restaurants nearby and hotels are more liable for stuff than a con is. Because a con, you can sign something when you're getting your badge, and they might be fine from getting sued or whatever, but a hotel might not be. So there's a lot a con has to consider. Not just that, but it's not only that, but COVID's kind of destroyed a lot of things. We play D&D or the internet, and so that's changed how D&D is really being done over the last year. A lot more people are into like streaming and animes and stuff, so animes become like a bigger thing in the last year, and so fandoms have been up and down and all over and different things. So Jackie, what has the last year meant to you in terms of like just being a fan of different things?
Well, without going to cons, it sucks because like you can't really meet the people that you want to because of the fandom, everything. So it's just a lot of stuff on stream. Been watching of like trying my best to do the online virtual cons, and let me tell you, it sucked. It really sucked. Like some of them had really good concepts and they tried their best, but like it sucked overall. I'm like, we could prepare this a little bit better, but that's okay. Instead of waiting 2 weeks before the con to happen, like, oh crap, we need to make all these Discord channels. I'm like, none of them were moderated at all. I'm like, this is all inappropriate. Like, we can get a whole sexual harassment lawsuit against you guys on the Discord channels.
I did try going, like, when Funimation did have their thing, they did have like a big Discord you could join, and I do remember trying to like check it out, but there was like so many people coming in every second.
Yeah.
And there were so many different threads for everything. Like, it was way too confusing. Like, there was like I think there was something like, there was like 200 Discord threads.
Exactly.
And there was like 10,000 people in the Discord and like 100 different, like almost 200 threads or something. And there was like no voice threads, which seemed weird, which I get, if 100, well, there's a limit though. Only 10 people can be in a voice thread at a time on Discord, and then it caps it out. So I was kind of like curious, like, why wouldn't you just put up a couple rooms or something? So maybe like a couple people could talk to each other about like a panel that they're watching or something. So I know what you mean. Some struggle with it, some did well, but it'll be interesting to see in the future, like even when conventions do come back, if certain cons start going more live with something. Like, I'll be interested to see like if a con tries to get a bigger guest by telling them that they don't have to come to the con. They'll just pay them a smaller appearance fee to just appear over video in like a panel room or something.
Yeah, which I think a lot of the larger cons should have done that in the beginning. Like, it would have made a lot easier. Like, the transition from in-person to virtual would have been a lot easier if they did part of it already.
Yeah. And then
especially like with line times, like majority of the cons is a line con, and half the time you have the chance where either you're going to make it before the cutoff or you're stuck outside the room.
Yeah, I definitely don't miss that. You know, like waiting in line for what was it? It was like because I stopped going to Yumacon like the last year. I could have gone, just chose not to, just because like I looked at all their, because I like going to see guests, and their guests were like it was the exact same as the year before. So I just ended up not going. Like with money and everything, I was like, yeah, it's the same people, and it's really expensive. But I remember the year before we had saw Team 4-Star the first year they were at Yumacon, and we got in like back of the room, and it was because it was like their first year there, and it was like they were like still, they were huge, but like they hadn't done anything in a while, so like a lot of people had forgotten who they were.
Yep.
So we got in the first year, saw them, it was great, and then we got in next year, but we got there like 30 minutes early because that's what we had done the year before. But apparently they had exploded in popularity in the year since. So we were like, they were upstairs up in the right in Yumacon, and by the time we got there and got in a line, we were all the way downstairs, like way down the stairs, around the side of the stairs. And we ended up leaving after like an hour of waiting because somebody came by and like it was like, yeah, the odds of anyone past this point getting in are really slim. You're welcome to wait and see if you do, but the odds of you getting in are
very slim.
Yeah, almost not existent. Okay, so we'll transition to the future. So with cons, well, who knows what will happen? It'll probably be probably going to be a repeat of what this year is. What are you kind of hoping for in terms of being able to be a fan of different things again in 2021? Like, is there anything you're trying to get into? Are you looking to try to do anything a little bit different this new year?
Not really. I mean, like I'm just trying to think about new cosplays to do, honestly. So I have a whole list. And so like I've been working out a lot. So I'm like trying to build up my confidence and trying to do more of my like more serious / like more like appropriate age for us cosplays to do. I guess I would put it for, instead of like always going towards like the cutesy anime characters. So yeah, just trying to think of some new characters to cosplay. And slowly trying to convince some of my friends to join in and do a group cosplay with me again. I miss doing those. I miss doing group cosplays. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to do one in a while. Before I went away, I was supposed to do like a Marvel thing with a bunch of people, and then I kind of went off the grid for a little while. But I know that feeling. I got a list of stuff I want to do, but obviously with money, I don't know how long it's going to be until I get a chance to do them. But Booster, so it's going to be Mafia Boss Red Hood is on the list of one of the next 3. Alrighty.
Red Booster Gold is going to be one of my next ones. And then Booster Gold, my boy. And then I really want to do Revan from KOTOR or Red Lantern from DC. Okay. It'll depend. Revan will be insanely expensive, so Revan's going to be on a permanent hold until I get some more income coming in. But so Mitch, we'll switch over to you. I know we talked before, and I know from Justin like some of the stuff that you're into, but like how was 2020 for you, just in terms of like just trying to be a fan of stuff? And I know you got into podcasting, but just like in terms of the other stuff.
Well, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So, I kind of got into anime a little, actually a lot more. The one show that I really got into the most was when Demon Slayer came out.
Okay, yeah. Yes, I haven't watched it. I have not watched it yet.
Oh my word!
You haven't watched it?
No, I haven't. I'm behind on my anime list massively.
Well, that should be like the top of the list right there, because that was by far, so far, my favorite anime. Like it just the graphics, the detail that they put into that series was fantastic. So I guess they're coming out with a movie this year.
They are.
Is it their first or second movie? I thought they had one already, or was that My Hero that had a
My
movie?
My Hero has 3 movies out.
Yeah, because that's what I heard was that Demon Slayer's coming out with a movie, and then I think at the late of this year they'll do the next season of Demon Slayer.
Okay, because the manga ended, right?
Yeah.
The manga ended.
Okay, so what? I think they said like they're gonna probably do another. What I think they said 2, and then it'll be done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do know from watching stuff that it was the first manga in like 20 years to pass One Piece for a month in manga sold, which they were saying was like insane because no matter what's come out in the last year, like One Piece has always just kind of held this. Sorry, I'm responding to something. So it's interesting that they jumped ahead. So okay, so Demon Slayer.
Yes. You need to look up that character, by the way, Mark, because I think you should cosplay him. I'm just saying, I think you would have a lot of fun.
Wait a minute, you're talking about the bull guy, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah,
AKA basically the Deadpool of
Okay, I've seen pictures.
He is so funny.
I've seen pictures of that. Of what?
Such a fun character for you.
Well, I don't want to ruin it for you because that. I mean, it's one of the better one I've seen. Now, I wasn't My Hero Academy, religiously, when that came out. Justin, he told me, he goes, I want you to watch it. And like seasons have went by. And finally one day he was like, okay, I'm going to play the first episode for you. And I just want you to just watch it. And after that, I couldn't stop watching it.
I was very late to the My Hero game as well. Like I didn't start watching it until season 3 was, or wait, season 4 out right now? What's the last season?
Season 4 just ended.
Okay, so season 4 is one I haven't seen yet. I haven't seen any of season 4. Because I heard it wasn't as good as the first 3. I heard it was kind of like
to them.
I will still watch it, but I was very late. I didn't start watching My Hero until season 3 was done, and then I binged watched like all 3 because I thought it was really good. Of course, obviously I'm biased because I have my favorite animes. My current favorite anime is that I'm behind on because I'm letting the arcs catch up is One Piece because I'm a huge One Piece guy. And I know I'm like an arc and a half behind, and I heard from what I've been reading that the current arc that they're on might not end for like another year. So because it's the creator said One Piece probably has another 4 or 5 years left.
Oh my word!
But he said he hasn't written the ending, but he finally knows what the ending will be. Like, so he has the ending in his mind set. So now he just has to set up the arcs to get to the ending. So he said the ending is in sight. He just said it's not going to be anytime soon because of how many arcs it's going to take to get there. So no. One Piece will probably go for, my guess would be like another 6 or 7.
I have to say, I've never watched One Piece.
I think it's amazing, but I think it's amazing, but I always tell everyone you have to get past the East Blue arc. If you have to get to when Luffy is on, when Nami joins the crew on Arlong Park. If you make it to that arc, which is like 80 episodes in, people that I know that watch One Piece will say you're hooked for life. If you can make it to that arc and still be enjoying it, you will be hooked for life because it only gets exponentially better from there. But when people are saying it, how's the number 3 hero? When people talk about One Piece, what I always say is
number 2, Hawks. Hawks only, Justin.
One Piece starts off kind of slow, but it's because the show is about him getting a crew to be the Pirate King. Well, when he starts off, he doesn't have a crew. So the first 80 episodes or so about him getting the first 4 members of his crew. So it's like him, he fights like big people and starts his reputation as a pirate, but he has to get these people to join his crew. So you're watching a lot of like development of like other characters to get to that point. But if you can get there, you're usually pretty hooked. But okay, so you can get kind of anime. Like, have you found yourself trying to get into like other things like since COVID kind of disrupted the chance to really do the normal way of doing things?
I mean, not really. I mean, here in Oklahoma, we kind of just, we don't really care too much about the COVID thing because we kind of just, I don't know. I mean, you could walk into a grocery store, convenience store, and we're not wearing masks, everywhere. That's probably why we have one of the highest counts. But I mean, I want to get more back into. Right now, I'm on Black Clover. I've never watched Black Clover, so I'm watching Black Clover.
I have not watched that either.
It's on Netflix.
I'm so confused.
I know what you mean. There's certain ones that I watch that I get very confused on. I just finished Blue Exorcist a little while ago on Netflix.
Is that good?
It is very good, but okay, it's very confusing because Netflix, so season 3 is coming out at some point, but Netflix advertises that there's 2 seasons. But season 2 takes place in the middle of season 1. So like if you go right from watching season 1 to what Netflix says is season 2, you get very confused because I started watching and I'm like,
it doesn't line up properly.
Yeah, so without spoiling anything, his classmates, because it doesn't spoil anything. The whole, the premise, right, of what Blue Exorcist is.
No.
Oh, okay. If you read just from reading the description on what Netflix says the show is about, so this doesn't spoil anything, is that it's the son of the devil at a school to be an exorcist. Okay. So I finished watching season 1.
Horrible description, by the way.
But I'm trying not to spoil it because if you say too much, it's going to take a lot away. But that's what Netflix says. That's what pretty much Netflix has is the description, which doesn't do it justice. But I don't want to do spoilers because it is a good anime. It didn't crack my top 10, but it definitely was enjoyable to watch. Just make sure you realize that when you watch season 2 and you start what Netflix says in season 2, that it just takes place in the middle of season 1. Like they do one of those things that were like the second season is like, did you ever watch? Okay. So like the one I finished before this, before I finished Blue Exorcist, and I'm blanking on the name now. Oh man, why am I blanking on it now? Jack, you doing? It's the one where they hunt vampires and they have like demon weapons.
Hunt vampires, has demon weapons. There's Vampire Knight. There is Blood Plus.
Sephiroth of the End. That's what Sephiroth of the End was the one I finished before Blue Exorcist, which was really good. That one pretty much did. It's called Sephiroth of the End.
Okay.
I think it's a Funimation stuff. That one was really good. I really enjoyed that one. But that one did a similar thing where they could, instead of doing like a direct season to like continue the storyline, they do like a mini season that takes place like during the first season at some point. Like they go on some random trip somewhere. And
the fillers.
Like they go on a trip somewhere where they fight a bunch of people and it's a really good mini arc, but it's not furthering the storyline that you just watched because that stuff stopped.
Oh, I guess One Punch Man is on one of my top lists. Yeah.
I haven't watched season.
I was disappointed in season 2.
I have not watched season 2.
I'm sorry. I was disappointed.
Because I binge watch stuff. So if an anime I like comes out with a new season, I wait until the season's done and then I kind of, hear about what it is. So like I've heard Attack on Titan got bad and then got good again.
A lot of my friends say that I need to get back into Attack on Titan because of this final season. They're like, Jackie. Yeah,
that's what I've been hearing.
You need to watch this now. I'm like,
I watched the first season. I loved the first season, but that's what I heard too, is that Attack on Titan season 2 and 3 were kind of bad. Like season 2, half of season 3 were like pretty bad. And then the second half of season 3 really picked up to set up the final season, which is supposed to be like amazing. So maybe I'll get into it one day. But Mitch, for you, like with podcasting and getting into anime and everything else, like where do you see what do you see 2021 doing different for like people that are trying to get into like different fandoms? You know, like do you see it being a kind of like a continuation, or do you?
Well,
do you
yeah,
see...
because you can tell a lot of people are just now stuck at home doing nothing. So I see it because I can kind of tell like there's more people that I've known that usually don't watch anime, and they're all of a sudden getting into it. You know, there's I see maybe a lot more like the comics. You know, they're bringing out like the God of High School. They made that into a anime, and they made the Tower of God into an anime. I see them doing that more to accommodate people that are just stuck at home, you know, trying to find something new to watch. And it's perfect for them because they're like, well, the more we put out now, the easier we're going to get more views on our stuff. So are you drinking a Sea Breeze?
No, I'm not. I'm drinking Victory Sour Monkey. It's a sour.
For people listening to this tomorrow or down the road are going to be like, what is going on? Which is why I said at the beginning that this is a live recorded episode, which
I'm having an adult beverage. Okay.
And I'll having a few in a little bit, not too many, because I definitely know with my mindset getting drunk is not a good idea.
Good.
Yeah, well, you can come over to Justin's and I can get Bill Cosby. I mean,
that's true. I could Bill Cosby you.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because me and Justin have already talked about it. Like, if that situation were to come up, how would we handle it? And so you kind of drew the short straw. We didn't tell you. We just kind of drew for you.
Well,
you know, like we had the straws open and we were like, okay, we'll give Mitch the short straw. And then, oh, look at that. We win. So,
well,
you know, you can call it.
I need to read my messages more.
Yeah, you can call it biased if you want, but yeah, we didn't hear anything back from you. We were like, well, he must be fine with it because we're not hearing any backlash, so he's probably good. But okay, no, I like that. So everyone's kind of heard me. You know, we've been talking throughout the whole year, so I'll keep mine fairly quick-ish. You know, it's like I said, it was going to be a little bit shorter episode. So if you're watching this right now, now is the time to ask your questions, whatever they are, whether it be about any of the three of us, about something we're into or something we're trying to do, or if it's something that you watch or you're into and you want to know if we've watched it or if we know about it and you want to do a quick discussion on it. Now is the time to ask your questions, because after I get done doing my thing, I'll go over the one question we got, which is from Justin, was mentioned earlier, and I'll go over any other questions that people tune in to ask. But for me, it's I don't know. It's been kind of interesting. I don't know. I'm hearing a weird echo on myself now. I don't know if I have. Did I click on something? I don't know if I'm not sure if I opened something else from somewhere. Well, hopefully it doesn't sound too bad on your guys' end. If you're listening and you hear a weird echo, let me know.
I don't really hear it.
Yeah, it might just be something weird from some weird feedback, some weird echo feedback on my head. Well, now it stopped. Or I don't know. Who knows? We'll figure it out. Devin, when you're editing this later, when you upload this later, yeah, let me know if you listen to this tomorrow and there's some weird echo in the last 10 minutes. Let me know. Yeah, it's like
I feel like this is towards Mitch. A question.
Yeah, it is. And we'll go over it. It's been an interesting year. You know, I'm now getting to the point where I'm trying to get back to some stuff, like watching a lot of anime. Lately, I've just been watching TV shows that are like a good distraction stuff. So like, I have a few on my list that Netflix has done as like Netflix originals that are supposed to be good, like for some like real shows. And then along with some animes like the Half Dragon, what was it? The Half Dragon Prince or something. Where like the guy eats the dragon heart and becomes like there's like a weird curse where like this dragon kills his family and like turns him into this being, and he spends the whole anime like trying to kill the dragon. And when he finally does, the dragon's like, haha, it was a trick because I wanted to die because I used to be human and the curse turned me into a dragon. And so now that you killed me, congratulations, you get to be a terrorizing dragon that killed your family. So it's this really like mental F anime. I think A Dragon's Dogma, I think is what it was called. It's on Netflix. It's only like 6 episodes and is like really weird. Like it's a psychological anime. It's set in like the newer style that Netflix has been doing, like they did with like the reboot of Saint Seiya or Ultraman. Netflix has been doing like this new animation style, like more 3D ish than the traditional style. And it's set in that style, which I've become a pretty big fan of because I feel like it gives them the ability to do like a lot of really cool special effects. So I recommend those two to you as well, Mitch, if you're looking for like decent Netflix ones. Dragon's Dogma is a psychological anime, but it's really good. The reboot of Saint Seiya, the old anime from the mid 80s, they got 2 seasons of it out right now. It's definitely different. So like, I love that one so much because I remember watching Saint Seiya growing up, like in the mid 90s when Toonami was showing the replays. That I went back after I watched the Netflix adaptation and I watched the full 6 seasons of the original Saint Seiya on Netflix from the mid 80s. They've definitely changed a lot. There's some stuff in the old anime that I don't think would fly today. Like anytime a guy cries, they pretty much like just tell him don't be like stop being such a wuss.
Yep.
Yeah. The females that are on Grease in the 86 anime have to wear a mask at all times. And if their mask ever gets removed, they have to marry the guy that removed their mask. Because that was the first guy to see their face, which means they have to marry him. So there's some stuff in there that
there's some stuff that's messed up.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty messed up.
But the new version, the one that was made in 2020, they changed all that stuff. Like they turned one of the main saints into a girl because it used to be all guys. They turned one into a girl. Like they made it a lot easier. Like they changed a lot of the stuff. So I got into like watching a lot of like Netflix stuff, but like lately, like I said, it's been me finding like distraction TV shows. Like I've been rewatching Stargate SG-1 on Netflix. From like that old sci-fi show. Because Netflix has like all 10 seasons up, and I'm like, I never really watched it past like a couple seasons because then I just kind of stopped watching sci-fi for a long time, and I didn't realize the show went for 10 seasons because I think Stargate Atlantis was right after it or something.
Yeah.
So I've been getting into that. We've been doing our podcast stuff. I'm behind on reading my comics. I still have a pull list that I pick up every couple weeks. But I'm like, Jesus, I probably have like 250 comics that I'm behind on to read. So like I have a massive full box of comics that are unread because like I keep forgetting to like sit down and read them with everything going on. But then every couple of weeks I still go and pick up like my pull list and stuff. So I'm going to have to like pause that. I mean, luckily what's on my pull list is all ending for the most part, except for like Red Hood. So I'm not adding on anything new to my pull list and I'm just letting stuff peter out, like as series end, like Teen Titans just ended as a comic book series and I'm not so I'm just anything that peters out. I just keep it off. I don't put anything new on to replace it, even though there's stuff I'd want to read because I'm trying just to make sure I don't spend as much. But if I do get any spare money, I've started to collect like older comics. Like I bought only because I had the extra money as a Christmas gift. Issue 1 of Booster Gold, the first ever issue back from like 1984, which was ironically it was only like $30 because Booster Gold has never been a popular series. So even though the comics are that old, after issue 1, every series is like only $1 more than what comics cost today. And it's just because not many people know who he is. So the series never really, it's not really considered rare. So I'm going to be able to finish it for cheap. That, and I started to collect the original comic book adaptation of The Empire Strikes Back from Star Wars. So back in like the mid 80s, when Empire Strikes Back was coming out, Star Wars was doing a comic book arc. They took like a 6-issue break in the middle of their storyline to do an official comic book adaptation of The Empire Strikes Back. And I'm just collecting that 6 issues of The Empire Strikes Back. And it's taking me a long time because each issue is like $12. Because those ones are a little more expensive. But yeah, so I've been trying to get into some older stuff. But yeah, anime I'm really behind on. Like the last one I watched, and it's been a couple months, was Fire Force. I was watching that, which I really enjoyed, and now I know season 2 is done, so I'll probably binge watch the rest in a little bit. But that's generally been about it for me. Just been trying to get other stuff just kind of, set up and figured out, and that's been about it for me. So if you're tuning in, you're watching right now. Now is the time to ask any sort of questions or.
I know one question that a lot of people probably going to ask is who is this Mitch guy and why does he seem so lost? Why does he seem like he does not fit in this group of people here?
We all fit in.
It's true.
I think you've had too much of that drink.
Nah.
So now the only questions we really had is just we got Justin being a semi-troll. So we'll go over the questions that he does have, just because some of them do have decent answers. So this one just on where we talked about it earlier, but where's One Punch Man in your top 10? So I know for me, if I'm counting just what I've seen, which is season 1, I would say season 1 for me doesn't even crack top 10. Thought it was really good. I just don't think even season 1 cracks top 10 for me. I don't know about either of you, but for me,
I liked One Punch Man, but it like I said, with all the other animes that I've watched, I mean, maybe top 20.
Yeah, I could definitely tell top 20 for me. So
yeah, I mean, it just there was just so many new ones that I've watched. It was like, well, it's good, but was it as good as God of High School or Tower of God? Demon Slayer for it just
yeah. And then I think you were saying so, Jackie. Does it crack in anything for you at all, or
it may be in my top 20.
Maybe
maybe
in the top 20.
Second season, no. Sorry, second season. If it's going off of the current season, no, it's not my top 20. But the first season, yeah, I'll definitely say season 1 is in the top 20.
Okay, I gotcha. And then here we got one that came in right now. Do you guys watch? Is that
Ruby? Hi, Becca. It's Bex. She's my blood. She's my yang.
So I have not watched Ruby.
Well, I'm gonna address the elephant in the room. What's Ruby?
So, oh my word. So Ruby is an anime. The first couple seasons kind of iffy when it comes to the animation. If you can get past the horrible animations and just focus on the plot and the characters, it's pretty decent. It's really good. Becca, she got me into Ruby, so it's really good. So I really enjoy it. It's about 4 girls. They become like super powerful and they have to save the world, basically.
Okay. I mean,
and there's some other really cool characters along the way.
I mean, there's always been ones that are like hit or miss. I'm blanking on the name. But there was like an old one I tried watching. Right, I had finished watching an anime called an old anime called Blue Gender, which is amazing. Blue Gender is an amazing anime. Old one, like a very Yu Yu Hakusho anime style. Because
I was about to say that came out when we were like in middle school.
I didn't see it
elementary.
If I ever don't have an anime, so now my list is crazy long because even if I watch my other stuff, I'm 150 episodes behind on One Piece, which will take months to catch up. It's from Rooster Teeth. Oh,
yeah.
Okay, it's from Rooster Teeth. Oh, then I would like it. I love their red versus blue stuff that they do.
Yeah, they use the same voice actors.
Oh, okay. Then I would like it then because I love red versus blue. But yeah, so what I used to do, or if I ever don't feel like watching anime on my list, is I would go to an anime streaming website and I'll click on a random letter and I will click on random animes in that letter until I find one where the description sounds good. And then I just start watching it. So that's how I found Blue Gender and watched that, which is amazing. That's how I found Air Gear, which is in my top 5. Air Gear is one of the single best seasons animes that I've ever seen. That ends on the most horrible cliffhanger in the world. And from what I've been hearing, the manga continues way past that. And I haven't watched it. Air Gear did release like 2 years ago. They released 2 OVAs to like just kind of bring you up to speed about where they would have ended up in the anime. And I've been trying. I've never been a big manga guy because I can't bring myself to like read manga on my computer or my phone or whatever. Eventually, I want to just for the sake of getting through Air Gear. But yeah, Air Gear is an amazing anime. Amazing anime. It's a Iki is a future cosplay for sure. Because it's such a cool anime. The whole concept is that this world, they have like air treks that like run off of like power. So like they can go like 80-90 miles an hour in these treks, like rollerblades, but they're rollerblades that can essentially go as fast as a car. And they have like gangs that fight in something called the Tripium, where you're ranked from A to F and you have to fight with your team to get to the top. So like they fight in like these underground battles where like, I mean, they legit beat the living hell out of each other. So it's really good. Like no one has like weird, crazy superpowers. It's just like, these guys are just like natural badasses with stuff. So like, if you're ever looking for like a random one, it's only 1 season. Cause from what I read, the manga was selling really well, but the animation company in America that was helping produce it in Japan, both decided that they didn't want to produce a season 2. Like the manga was selling well enough to do like 2 or 3 seasons is when the manga ended, but they just decided after season 1, they were like, nope, like we don't feel like, they just literally, from what I was able to finally read, they just didn't feel like doing it. They were just like, no, we don't feel like it, so we're not doing it. Hajime no Ippo, if you like sports stuff, Mitch.
Okay. Did you sports stuff because I'm a hick?
Yeah.
Well, there's some really good anime based off of sports.
What is it
There's
again?
some really good ones.
It's called Hajime no Ippo. It's about boxing.
Oh, okay.
So these guys like fight and it's honestly one of the animes that when I watched it and I started doing MMA practice after I started doing MMA after I'd seen the anime, and a lot of the stuff I did in boxing is legit what they showed in the anime, of how these guys were sparring. So I gave them a lot of credit for actually getting realistic stuff into the anime. And the only other question we have so far was from Justin saying, "How do you talk a co-host into playing D&D?"
Have you not played D&D before, Mitch, or like any tabletops?
Let me ask you something. Let me ask you a question with a question, real quick.
Okay.
Do I look like a person that's ever played D&D?
We can't always go off of looks, my friends. You can't.
You're too sweet, but no, I've never. I've never played D&D.
It's really easy to get into.
I'll answer this as a fan question from like a generic standpoint of like, how could you get someone who's never played in general? Because we talked this before. We've done D&D episodes before. We've talked about getting in, or how does someone new get into D&D if they're interested in it? And obviously, the easiest answer is find a group of friends that are willing to try it. And if that means you have to be the dungeon master, you go ahead and just do it. Or when COVID's done, most local comic book shops, like bigger ones, will have a back room with like tables and stuff where they do like tabletop nights and stuff. Most of those stores will have D&D nights where you just talk to the owner and you sign up, because they'll have like, usually it's either the employees or they have a set DM that they pay to come in DM sessions every week.
They pay?
Yeah. If you're a good DM.
If you've proven to a shop you're a good DM, like obviously for a local shop, you're gonna have to do it for free for a while. But like a lot of shops, if someone's proven to be a good DM, you're not gonna get paid a ton, but they'll pay someone who they know is a good DM, because the people that come into the shop to play generally are customers, so they're already spending money. Or if they're not, paying some guy $20 a session, or giving him 30% off of his order anytime he DMs, and you bring in one customer who's going to spend, quadruple that, in a given month or two. So yeah, they'll pay guys who they know are good DMs to DM for a group of customers. So that's always a way to get into it as well. Or with COVID, everything, a lot of stuff being online, me and Jackie playing 2 campaigns online. So there's people that like on Reddit and stuff that are doing campaigns online. They're looking for people to just join their random online campaign. So you can always just
and Facebook too.
Yeah,
like there's a pretty decent Facebook group.
Yeah, so you can always try something like that if you're ever interested. That'd be my advice to people out there that are looking to potentially get into D&D is try one of those 3
or
rounds to work.
If you know a friend that's doing a one-off.
So we'll do another question here. Do we think YuGiOh will ever become as successful as Magic the Gathering in terms of a card game? Okay.
Sadly, no.
So interesting question, because in terms of competitions, from what I know, YuGiOh has just as many as Magic the Gathering does. In terms of what more people know about, Magic the Gathering obviously has been around so long that I don't think they ever will, and for this main reason, YuGiOh, the anime, the last 3 adaptations have been horrendously bad. I think YuGiOh at its height was more popular than Magic the Gathering after YuGiOh and YuGiOh GX came out. But then I think that YuGiOh got too concerned with making the game like the anime. And the animes kept getting worse and worse and introducing the dumbest rules and like just the dumbest monsters and the way you summon monsters, and just from what I have read and from what I know about friends that do play card games, that YuGiOh tried to keep too much with what the anime was doing, and the animes are becoming more and more unpopular. And so Magic the Gathering just stuck to what they were good at. Magic the Gathering has come out with new stuff and they've changed some stuff, but the core of the game is the exact same. I know they've introduced like these planeswalkers, which are like bigger heroes that are like the staple of your deck. And you kind of build your deck around these main people now. But no, I think Yu-Gi-Oh had a chance to be the most popular, because I know Pokemon is still a popular card game, even though like you tell people that and they're like, what? People still play the Yu-Gi-Oh Pokemon card game? And it's like, yeah, they still have like national competitions and like that thousands of people enter. So Yu-Gi-Oh will always have that. It's always going to have that dedicated hardcore fan base, but I think they've lost their chance to be more popular than Magic was in terms of general popularity, because of the fact that the anime brought down the card game, whereas Magic the Gathering just has to, they do occasional video games or something. And not to mention the Yu-Gi-Oh video games all of them are terrible.
Yeah, they are.
Yes.
It seems like such an easy game to make a good video game about. Like, okay, for example, One Piece, I haven't played a lot of it, but One Piece World Seeker is their most recent game that just came out, which got mediocre reviews, right? But still, the mediocre reviews that it got are still better than anything a Yu-Gi-Oh game has ever achieved. You could legit make a very decent, I'm not talking about like it has to be a 10 out of 10, but a game that the hardcore fan base would enjoy if you follow the same format that One Piece World Seeker did, where it's a semi-open world, and that just means like there's only a set number of areas you can go to, and you play as a dual student, and you run around this world and you challenge people to a duel. Obviously, we know from bigger games that the gaming technology exists for you to lay down a card and a virtual monster to appear. Like, we know full well they could make something like that happen. So I think at this point they're just too afraid to start to try to make a good game, because the general feeling of Yu-Gi-Oh games has been so bad. Yeah, that's my answers. I just think I think they had a shot and they blew it. But
yeah,
they did blow it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's gonna be, I think it seems like a general consensus is that they had a chance, they blew it. Because I will say the Yu-Gi-Oh anime, the original, is amazing. I rewatch it. Yeah, I rewatch it every like couple years just because it's just so fun to watch. I mean, it starts off so good with like Yu-Gi-Oh destroying Kaiba with Exodia and then losing Exodia right after. Like, how many animes like back then took the shot of like, because usually like in animes today and a lot of animes in general, the main hero holds on to his most powerful card, and those are his ace in the hole. So for when Yugi lost those, like it was like what episode like 6 or 7 that he loses them when he's on the boat.
Yep.
I was like, okay, like that's a
new.
that's a shot, that's a chance. Because I know they do the stuff with like the Exodia, the God cards, but like you never see Exodia really again.
No, you only seen him like a few times.
Exactly.
I know there's a copycat duelist that has Exodia, but they're like it's like fake Exodia cards. It doesn't have like the true Egyptian power that Yugi's cards did, because you could unlock like obviously the true potential of what Exodia was.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like the first half of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, the one that came out right after the main one, where he's in school. I thought the first half was amazing, where I stopped watching it. And I actually tried getting back into it again, and I got slightly farther than I did the first time, but then I couldn't do it as when, after he beats the first initial bad guys, like around episode like 100 or whatever, and he starts like, he starts doubting, like the arc where he starts like doubting himself, and he won't even duel because like the thought of dueling makes him so upset, because he's so upset that these bad guys keep coming after him and his friends because he's the chosen one. So he gets so upset he like stops dueling and he turns into like an emo kid. That I stopped watching, and it actually goes for like another 80 episodes after that. And I've read that like he gets these new decks. So like that to me was like the first half of it was good, but then every Yu-Gi-Oh after that has just been so bad. Like,
you didn't like the Dice Monster one?
I did not like the Dice Monster one, and I tried watching. I don't know what the newer one is. I've seen images of it, like the old one that just was airing a couple years ago, and thought it was terrible. And I tried watching 5Ds because I thought the main guy looked cool. Like when I saw 5Ds for the first time, I was like, oh, he looks kind of cool. Maybe they're finally trying to give it like that edge again. And then I saw them dueling in like these bikes, and I'm like, okay, that could be kind of cool depending on how they do this. And then like it's legit just like NASCAR, where they just go around this track and duel each other in their bikes. And I was like, okay, that kind of takes me out of it. Like,
that's lame.
So even when the main guy is battling this arch villain of his, they're on like a set course, and they just follow each other. And the person with the more life points is ahead of the other guy, and they just like turn and face each other as they just go around in circles. And
that seems pretty dumb. Yeah,
that's where it lost me. Like, because the first couple episodes, he's dueling like he's part of like this underground resistance, and he's dueling a couple of these guys underground. I was like, okay, all right. I was like, you got me hooked to at least find out how the series plays out, and then he finally duels against the Kaiba, who is bad but then turns good guy. And he goes to like his place, and they're like just driving around this track in circles, dueling each other. And I was like, and I'm gone. I can't do this.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. But that was it. We don't have any other fan questions. If something comes in the next 30 seconds, I'm willing to bring it up. I know we ended up going a little bit longer than I was planning to, because we kind of just started spitballing random stuff, which is always fine. So like I said earlier, Devin couldn't make it today. If you're listening to this and wondering why you don't hear him, this will be the episode that airs tomorrow on New Year's for our little special kind of like mini New Year's episode that we wanted to do. I already talked to Devin. He's going to find some time to be able to upload and get it prepped for tomorrow. I will not be able to. I just don't have time. So just get ready for that. Make sure you follow us on all major platforms, Facebook, Twitter. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm not super active right now because I keep forgetting that I have Instagram again. Because there's no
you keep forgetting you have Instagram.
Yeah, so I'm not super active. I haven't posted a new picture in like a month of like cosplay stuff, but I do have an Instagram, the.bushido.geek on Instagram. You can follow some of my cosplay stuff on there. If you do want to support the show as we try to figure out how to do our Patreon, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/fandom podcast, and all proceeds will go towards helping the show. If you do want to follow me on my journey on random Twitch games, you can go to my twitch.tv/BushidoGeek and follow me on there. Thanks as always to our returning guest in J Falpix Cosplay, Jackie, and our new guest, Justin's better half, Mitch from the Carpool Shenanigans podcast, which you can check out on all of the same platforms that you can find us at. Apple, iHeart, Spotify, Pandora, everything like that. You can find them as well as us. So if you guys liked Mitch coming on, you guys want to see more of him and Justin on some future stuff, feel free to let me know, and we'll go ahead and bring them on. But as always, usually at the end, we try to give some sort of like fandom experience, something to check out. But really at the end of the year, I feel like the only thing I could really say for newer fans or older fans of the show or people that listen to this later on is just to, go find something new you want to get into this year. I know we've said that before, but I mean, really at the end of the new year, that's the only thing I can really feel justified in saying is just to try to find something new to get yourself into and just have fun with whatever it is that you choose to do. If other than that, I am obviously the Bushido Geek for the Fandom Effect podcast. New episodes every Friday, bonus level episodes every other Tuesday when we can. So in 2 weeks, you guys will get a bonus episode. And I can say this now, give you guys a little bit of a teaser for February. The month of February, we will not be airing a single guest interview. The month of February, we are going to be debuting the debut of 4 brand new segments. 4 brand new segment episodes that we will be then putting into the rotation of future months. That's all I'm going to tease for now because we're still working on final details of what we want to talk about and whether or not we want to bring in friends or not on these initial ones. But get ready for that. The month of February will be the debut of brand new segments, more related to the side stuff that we're into versus a direct interview with a guest. So we're going to be trying to do a better mix of both for you guys in the future. So stay tuned for that. And I will see you guys on the next week's episode of the Fandom Effect or the next time we get a chance to do a live interview. Make sure if you want to tune in, ask future questions on a future live episode, make sure you go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Fandom Effect, and follow us so you can keep up with future live stuff. And I'll see you guys next time.